Hi, shifters and bandemoniumers. This is the video 3 in the series of warm-up videos for brass players, although this video has some material that may be of interest to non-brass players. Hopefully by this point you've already done some warm-up and you're blowing freely. You've done a little bit of work on the mouthpiece doing some sirens. You've done enough warm up on the trumpet that you're blowing freely throughout the register, etc. So now it's time to revisit articulation and make sure that we're starting and stopping notes in a beautiful and chosen manner. So that we're going to start with exercise E in that printed material that I sent in the first email. Very simple little exercise. And we're just going to play something like this. So nice and simple. Hopefully you've found the center of pitch and you're playing in the center, and just nice clean articulations. Hopefully the notes, if we could visualize them, look sort of like this. We keep the air moving as one stream and the tongue just interrupts like a little valve. What we want to avoid are what I call blossom or tut notes. So a blossom note sounds a bit like this. And a tut note sounds like. So in a blossom note, I'm sort of tasting the note first, and then it blossoms louder rather than having the attack of the note loudest at the beginning. And a tut note, rather than letting the air continue through, I'm stopping the note with my tongue. Tut, tut. So play that exercise again on a different note, and I'll demonstrate how not to do it a little bit here. I'll just randomly pick a different note. That's not what we're looking for. So once you're comfortable, try the same pattern on different notes until you've got that beautiful sound that you want and the beautiful articulations. So what I was going to talk about next here. So, why do these blossom and tut notes occur? And I think it stems back from when we first learned to play. If you listen to a beginner trumpet player or any brass player, they're tentative about how they start a note because they're uncertain about things, right? So you kind of taste the note first, and then once you're secure on it, then you let the air flow more freely. And it's a great way to avoid the thing that we all dread, the famous trumpet cack note, where we've gone for the note and it's mispitched by a little bit and it sounds like you've just hit a crow with a baseball bat, this kind of sound. We've all heard those. It's kind of hard to do on purpose, but that mispitched sound. So it's safer. And so beginner players often do these blossom tones. The reason for this habit of stopping a note with a tongue, sometimes we might want to stop a note with a tongue, but the way it becomes a habit is in an attempt to stop pitch drop. Ideally, we stop notes by just stopping our blowing. But sometimes when that happens, the pitch does this. So a way to stop that effect is to go. So players sometimes get into this habit of stopping the note with their tongue. So all notes have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you need to listen to all three of those parts of the note for every single note you play, and make sure they sound the way you want them to, not they aren't sounding just the way they happen to be comfortable or habitual. So when you're doing that exercise, that's what I want you to listen for. Just air just keeps going like one long stream, and the tongue just interrupts it, which of course, when a valve stops the air momentarily, when it releases, there's a little bit of extra air is going to come out and make the note louder at the beginning. So, I had pictures here. Here's a blossom note. Here is a tut note. And if you put them together, a blossom and a tut, you get the definitive grade 7 sound. And I'll just demonstrate. I'm going to play a little bit of the Haydn Trumpet Concerto, first the way you might normally hear it, and then as played by a beginning trumpet player. Okay, now as a beginning trumpet player. And I think we've all heard that sound, and it can come back to haunt even the best of us on occasion. That's why when in our warm-up we take a moment to make sure our articulations are clean, and that we're starting and stopping notes cleanly. So I haven't actually talked yet about how we tongue, and I'm just going to demonstrate something here. Here's perfect tonguing. Produces no sound. It's a bit of a misnomer in a sense to think of to call it tonguing. A great articulation is achieved by coordinating the air with tongue movement, and there's all kinds of debate and ideas about what constitutes great tonguing, but most players I find have success when the tongue hits as saying the syllable ta, or if you think of the end of the word heat. So the tongue is hitting at the base of the upper teeth and creating a little seal that releases there. But there's other ways to tongue. There's one of my teachers, Charlie Schluter, plays a principal in the Boston Symphony. He tongues with what's called anchor tonguing, where the tip of the tongue is anchored at the base of the bottom teeth, and the only thing that moves, so that here's the tip of the tongue here, and it's at the bottom of the lower teeth, and what actually does the tonguing is the middle of the tongue, like that. So, and so different people have debated about whether it's T or ta or da or do. And for double tonguing, of course, which we're not going to get into here, but the syllables ki or ka or ga, daga 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 versus taka 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 or tiki tiki tiki. And you know, the truth is we don't say any of those things, right? We move our tongues in a certain way to produce the sound that we're going for. And so the correct way is whatever movement produces the sound you want, or the conductor wants. So I've got this old book here. So this, written in 1795, a book on trumpet playing, and I find this interesting. They refer to syllables like rititon, ritikititon, tiri tiri con con, and all these kinds of different ways of what they called huffing and blowing and tonguing. And so these syllables you have to take with a grain of salt. But generally speaking, ta is what we're going for. Okay, what we're going to talk about next here. Okay, so I guess we'll move on to exercise F here, which is what I call fanfare tonguing. And the idea here is we've got one breath and two tongues. And so it sounds like this. Now, when you do this sort of tonguing, I want you to listen to the resonance in the room. If you're doing it really well, the room will ring out. So I want you to avoid blossom notes and tut notes. But now I also want you to listen for the pitch through the note. If the pitch changes, you'll find that there isn't as much resonance in the room. It won't reverberate properly. So if you play something like, or, so the first couple I did there, the pitch dropped at the end, and the second couple I tried to push the pitch up. Now I'm exaggerating that like crazy to illustrate a point, but I want you to listen for that. With the pitch, we want to keep the pitch dead even, and when that happens, you'll find the room comes alive. Now this room is pretty acoustically dead, so there isn't much resonance here at the best of times. But that's what I want you to listen for, and just do a whole bunch of them, ta-ta, ta-ta, until it feels like it's just got that perfect sound you're looking for, that it's dead center in the pitch, that there's no pitch rising and falling, that there's no blossom notes and no tuts notes. And so it sounds like, I wasn't happy with the first couple, and if you listen carefully, there's no two are ever exactly the same. And that I want you to listen so carefully that you can hear that no two are ever the same. But when you're basically happy, move on to another note. So spend as much time on each note as you feel you need. Just do them until they're really free and easy. You want is what the air's doing, and the tongue is, and listen for all those attributes that constitute a perfectly articulated and sustained and ended note. So I think that's all I want to say about articulation today. Stay tuned for video 4. Till next time.